screen or join back in. See y'all in a bit. Quick little introduction.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you all for taking time out of your busy schedule to join us for this leadership resource meeting. Unfortunately, we could not have it in Grand Rapids like we had planned on doing, but I think everybody is getting pretty proficient at this Zoom process. So thankfully we could do this and still have time to connect and learn from each other and learn from these speakers we've got lined up for you. So thank you, Morgan. I appreciate that. And, you know, I see where we've got about 30 minutes for Q&A. You know, based on what I know, I think we probably could cover this in about 5 minutes.
I think we'll be able to make a good bit out of it. If you're ready, I'll start with the first question.
Sure. Yep.
Righty. Can you give us a little history of HT Hackney and how it came to be a major player in the industry?
Yes. Back in the late 1880s, Mr. Henry Tate Hackney actually started with a partner a feed and grain business in Knoxville, Tennessee, or East Tennessee. In the early 1890s, he bought out his partner and began to build a thriving business there in East Tennessee with a full line grocery business. He had operated up until actually 1899. He passed away then. But the people that ran the business and owned the business following Henry Tate's death was the Morton family. The Mortons actually operated the H.T. Hackney Company, which actually started in 1891 after partnership dissolved with his friend there in Knoxville. The Mortons operated the company throughout the early 1900s and grew to what was known as H.T. Hackney throughout the early part of that century. In 1983, Bill Sansom actually came into the company when some of the family members were no longer able to operate the company, and he became the CEO and chairman. In 1987, Bill actually bought the H.T. Hackney Company and operates it as it is today. When he bought the company, they were operating about 4 or 5 warehouses throughout East Tennessee and parts of the Carolinas. After Bill took over the company, and he's been operating it now for a little over 30 years, he began to acquire other businesses, other wholesale companies throughout the Southeast, and has grown it now to what we have in 28 wholesale divisions, ranging from Miami, Florida, up to Grand Rapids, Michigan, basically covering the entire eastern part of the United States. A few things that Bill did, in addition to operating the wholesale side of the business, he ventured out and bought or acquired other companies that they felt would, benefit us as a distributor and other distributors. And some of the companies that he acquired is the Uncle Ray's Chip Company, Great American Deli Sandwich Company, Nero Fuel, the Michelle's Bakery, Family Brands Meat Company, which is based out of Knoxville as well. But he also owns a petroleum company and Hackney Furniture and Holland House Furniture. So, today the company employs a little over 4,200 people. We operate and service about 25,000 retail locations in 23 states, and we have about a net revenue of about $6 billion a year. So that's kind of where he started and how the company started and where we're at today.
Very interesting. How about you? How did you get started in the industry and at Hackney?
Well, I got started actually when I was in high school. I started in the retail side of the business when I was 15 years old. Started as a bag boy in a local grocery store in the town I lived in, and really had a passion for working with customers and people that came in the store, and so I enjoyed it. I continued to work at it. Fortunately, I was blessed to be mentored by several really great retail business people in the grocery side of the business, and so I continued to do that after I graduated from high school, and went to work with Fleming Foods, and later was promoted up to, went through various stages, but eventually ended up being a store manager for Fleming Foods in the mid 1980s. So I worked in the retail side of the business for about 10 years. I started with what was then HB Polk Company here in this warehouse in 1989, and I started as a merchandiser, worked up through various positions, sales supervision, business development positions, and then eventually a sales manager in this division. And so I've done that now for 31 years. Back in 2005, I was promoted to a regional sales manager position, and was looking over 7 Hackney divisions throughout the state of Florida, Georgia, and Alabama, Mississippi.
Awesome. What's your favorite thing about working in the industry?
Well, people, I always say, people are one of my favorite things about the industry, and one of my most challenging things about the industry. When you work with people, with customers, it's a very rewarding situation. You really build some lifelong friendships and relationships, and I think that is the single most thing that I enjoy day in and day out. I think that's what drives me the most. I love the pace of the industry, the pace of how we work and what we do on a daily basis. I think I told somebody yesterday that I've never had a 40-hour-a-week job, and don't know what I would do if I ever had one. It just just is not in me. I'm used to working a lot, and so the pace is something that I really enjoy. And I also, part of my work and the things that I do, I'm able to, travel a lot. I'm not in the same place every day typically, and so that is something that I value and cherish as being a part of this job, and then being a part of organizations like the Southern. If I hadn't been in this industry or haven't been exposed to the things I have here in this company, I wouldn't have been exposed to the Southern, and I really value that. And so all those things are things that I really enjoy about this.
Awesome. How'd you get started with the Southern?
Well, for those of you that may be on this meeting call, would remember Butchie Owens. Butchie Owens hired me back in 1989, and in the early 90s, he told me about an organization called the Southern, and he invited me to come with him to one of the mid-year YLD meetings. And for those of you that remember, YLD is what the SLD was before, and it was the Young Leadership Division of the Southern, and we had a meeting in Savannah, Georgia, and so he asked me to go. I went and had no clue what I was in store for. That meeting, like this meeting, was around Halloween, and one of the dinners that we went to, I was the only person in the room that wasn't dressed up in a Halloween type costume, so I felt really odd. But anyway, that's where I started, got my exposure. Following that meeting, I started going to every meeting that was scheduled. Following that, and got real active. Really enjoyed it. It was a great learning experience for me, and helped me grow a lot. Later, as I became more and more active, I served on the board with the YLD at the time. And I think while I was a part of that is when we actually changed the name of it to SLD. And for those of you that don't remember, the reason why we changed the name is at the time, YLD, you could only be up to 40 years old to be in that group, and all of us got older than 40, and so we wanted to change the name so we could stay in it. But I later became president of the SLD, and then after Butch's passing, I took over his but a board position for the state of Alabama in what we call the big board. And so that's how I got started. It was back in the early 1990s.
Yeah, that's an exciting little history I didn't know.
Yeah.
All right. Why is it important to be involved with industry associations like the Southern, not just from an individual standpoint, but from a company standpoint as well?
Well, first of all, I don't really think I would be where I am today, professionally or personally, if it hadn't been for being a part of this organization. The benefits are really, kind of hard to measure. Between the educational opportunities, the networking opportunities, the ability to talk and to learn from greats in our industry is really pretty amazing. The exposure we have to the people that are key and influential, members of this industry. I don't know collectively if I would have been able to have gotten the education in this industry from any other single source. It has been such a valuable part of my development as a manager in our company, and as a leader in other organizations that I'm a part of. So it's really hard to think of me being anywhere close to where I am now if it hadn't been for the exposure of what the Southern has given me.
Absolutely. As the president of the Southern currently, what would you like to accomplish in your term?
Well, before I answer that, I want to talk a little bit about or express my gratitude for some people that are a part of this organization. Butch enabled me to be a part of this group. I'm eternally thankful for his, seeing something in me that allowed me to be coming to these meetings. Greg Martin was such a great friend, a great mentor, and someone that, always encouraged me throughout the years to be involved and to be a better person through my spiritual being, a better person as far as my contributions to this industry and this organization. So those are two people that are key in my development, and I'd like to say publicly a huge thank you to those two men. I also would like to thank Scott McPherson, which is the previous president of our group. Scott took over as president through some very difficult and trying times for us as an organization. I can't remember in the 25 to 28 years that I've been a part of this organization that we've had so much adversity all in one year. With Greg's departure, having to look at a new management organization, which we have not done since I've been a part of this group. and the challenges that we've faced with COVID throughout the year, and how we conduct our meetings and all of that. So between Scott's leadership and between the dedication of everybody on the executive committee, I'd like to thank everybody for all of their dedication and what they've contributed to our organization. So looking forward, and the things that I would like to see that, for us to accomplish, there's a couple of things actually. The first thing is I'd like for us to, as an organization, to really make a difference in our industry in diversity and inclusion. So that is one thing that's at the top of my list. We've had multiple conference calls. We've had some planning sessions and things that we can do to start looking at developing a plan of action moving forward. This is not a one-time shot. This is not something that we're going to just say that, okay, this is what we're going to do today, but this is something that I want us to really look at and to change in some systemic way of how we look at people in our industry, how we look at people in our businesses, and to develop a true culture of diversity and inclusion. So that is at the top of my list. It's something I feel very passionate about. I won't get into specific personal reasons for this, but it does touch me in a very dynamic way personally. And so I want to take that on as something that we move forward in a very progressive way. So that's the first thing. The second thing is the social media piece that you spoke about earlier, Morgan, and I've been working with VJ on, is developing a really vibrant social media presence for multiple benefits. One, I want to be able to, for us to be able to communicate our events out to our members and other people that are in our industry, to share news and industry trends to our members, and to use it as a tool of sharing knowledge throughout our membership base. And the other thing is to really use it as a communication tool in between our meetings. We have struggled for a long time, with the fact that we really enjoy being together. We enjoy talking with each other, and we enjoy all the interactions that we have as an organization when we meet. But there is typically a very large fall off in between meetings where we're not communicating as much. And so what I'd like to see through the social media presence is the ability for us to stay closer connected in sharing of those ideas and information on a continuous basis throughout the year. So those are the two things that I would like to tackle and work on throughout this upcoming year, in addition to trying to have some live meetings and get back to where we can be together again.
Absolutely. And you may have kind of already answered this one a little bit, but if you're able to elaborate, can you give us a little history on HT Hackney and how it came to be a major player in the industry?
Basically what I said earlier, yeah, the part of I think the success in the recent history of Hackney was when Bill Sanson took over the company. That happened in the early 80s, and although I think Hackney was a somewhat successful business, it was really isolated to a small part of the country and a small part of Tennessee and the Carolinas. When Bill took over the company, he was, a much more of a visionary, and took a greater role in developing the infrastructure of the company. He made huge investments in warehouses and equipment and people. So through that, really, the HD Hackney that we know now emerged and became a larger player. Bill is very active and very aggressive when it comes to acquiring new businesses and taking advantage of opportunities whenever they present themselves. So I think with his leadership and his desire and drive is where it has landed us today and being a much more viable company than we were back in before his time with Hackney.
How has HD Hackney adapted to doing business in the age of COVID-19? Anything specific, innovative?
Well, just like everybody else has done, we've adapted to the new normal as much as we could. Zoom meetings with our sales teams and our customers and vendors is, something I think everybody's been doing, and we've been doing the same. It's so difficult and it's hard to communicate when you're in a remote type setting, and the way that we interact with people, I don't think it's just been it's been the same and as effective. But we've tried to come up with creative ways to help our customers. Some of the things that we've done is designing things like meal kits, complete meals that we can market to our customers, that can offer their customers a one package type deal for meals. That's something that we've put a lot of effort into. Our fresh offerings through our commissary has been very successful this year. And so, those, are the type of things that we were trying to develop that would capitalize on the increased traffic in the C stores. I think for the most part, we were anticipating going into the COVID-19 that there would be, a huge interruption in our business and decrease in overall volume. And, we have found that to be, totally reversed. Our business is up substantially this year, even though we've had, many challenges with supply issues and sourcing product. We have had a huge increase in business. So those are a couple of things that we were looking at, utilizing our marketing departments and assisting our customers with how to market themselves, to communicate with their customers that they have the things that they need in their stores. So we've done some of that, helping them with their social media presence as well there. And another part is we've used our category managers to rethink space to sales allocations and store layouts to kind of reflect the new trends and in sales during this pandemic. We've been able to do that, and I think that's helped us increase our sales and our customer sales as well. Looking at sourcing products differently, bringing in truckloads to redistribution centers, getting product delivered that we might not have been able to do in the traditional ways, to have inventory on hand for our customers. And so those are just some things that we've done and looked at this year that has made us think outside the box, and it's been pretty successful so far.
Good deal. All right, I think we might have time for one more. We got 5 more minutes. Are there any books, magazines, or podcasts on business and leadership that you'd recommend?
Well, I'm going to have to admit something. I'm kind of ADD, and I am not much of a book reader. So if I sit down and try to read a book, I usually get through the first 2 or 3 pages, and then I get bored. So I try to stick to things that keep my interest and that I can do in a short period of time and gain as much information as I can. So I really stick to, reading articles and in the industry, magazines like everybody does, C-store decisions and books like that, convenience store news. I like, I've got a couple of apps that I use. Of course, LinkedIn is one that a lot of people use that I see, articles in there that I like, and the Max app, those are my go-to places. I've always been envious of people that can take a big thick book and sit down and read it, and I just can't. It just doesn't capture my interest long enough. But I would encourage everybody that's on here that has people in their organizations that need information. Get them subscribed to some of these industry magazines and download these apps to look at, keep up with what's going on in the industry. And then, of course, the information that's provided through the Southern is always very timely and critical in us running our businesses. So don't have any groundbreaking information there for you. I'm sorry.
That's okay. I think some of us can probably relate with that ADD feeling. I guess, is it okay if we wrap it up here? Or did you have anything else you wanted to add? We got 2 more minutes, it looks like.
The thing that I'd like to say, just as this organization, I'd like to encourage anybody that is a current member, if they've got people in their organizations that you see a little spark of something there, get them involved in the Southern, get them coming to the SLD. It pays huge dividends to your that person's development and your development as a management team. It is money very well spent. So I'd encourage everybody to at least have some people involved in this organization and this group specifically.